This is Luke Rudkowski of wearechange.org, and I'm here with Greg Palast of gregpalast.com, investigative journalist who recently uncovered a memo that's really going to shake up the seat of the next Federal Reserve Chairman. Greg, can you tell us what you found?
Pretty nasty stuff. A memo written to Larry Summers, who's Obama's choice, or leading choice, for head of the Federal Reserve Board to replace Ben Bernanke. In this memo, it references Summers having a series of secret, illegal meetings with the heads of the CEOs of the big five banks in America: Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, Citibank. In this memo, it's clear that Summers is having secret and therefore illegal meetings with bankers to determine what United States economic policy should be worldwide. And basically, it's like the mob meeting with the police chief and deciding, what the police rules ought to be.
Wow. I mean, that's just incredible. How were you able to get your hands on this memo, and were you able to verify it?
How I got my hands on the memo, a little birdie came by and dropped it on me, and I don't remember his name or her.
I don't know now.
And either do I. Given what's happened to other journalists, I have to be careful about this. It is a confidential diplomatic message from within the State Department and Treasury Department, so I'm not supposed to have it, needless to say. How did I verify it? Several ways. One, it had the private phone numbers of these top bankers, so I called one. But I had to say who I was under BBC rules. It wasn't Larry Summers, so it was click. But I actually got to the chief, the chairman of the board of Citibank. No secretaries, nothing. So it was legit inside numbers. Yeah. Second, I flew to Geneva, Switzerland, and met with the head of the World Trade Organization, because the core part of this memo was how to force other nations to join America in jumping off the bank deregulation cliff. This was serious stuff. The international financial system completely collapsed, and this memo was at the heart of it. Wow. And so I met with the head of the WTO, and he says, Pascal and me, Monsieur Palast, we don't have evil cabals of bankers determining our policy here at the WTO. And then I showed him the memo. He says, oh, well, so I confirmed it there. Then one of the nations, in addition to the United States, which fell to its knees, the rest of the planet, including, for example, Ecuador, which was forced to accept toxic assets, toxic derivatives. In other words, if they want to sell us our bananas, their goods, they had to accept our bads, our derivatives, and all this financial junk, which ultimately destroyed the economy of Ecuador. So, because I had these documents, I flew to Quito, Ecuador, met with the president, Rafael Correa, who confirmed that, yeah, they did muscle him, that this is the real thing. He didn't know about that memo. He knew the effect of the memo and what Summers did to him and his nation. And so he had suspected that there was such a plan, and so this confirmed it. I then also spoke with a member of Bill Clinton's cabinet who was with Summers. That is Joe Stiglitz, who later won the Nobel Prize in economics. And he said he would sit in cabinet meetings with Larry Summers, and Summers would turn to Robert Rubin, then Secretary of the Treasury before Summers. Summers would turn to Rubin and say, whenever a policy matter came up, well, what would Goldman think of this? Well, how would Goldman feel about that? And finally, Stiglitz said, we're in the West Wing, President Bartlett doesn't talk like this. I mean, what do we care what Goldman thinks? Don't you think that's inappropriate? Shouldn't it be what's best for the American people? And they looked at him like he was, just fell off a watermelon truck. So the result was that they dumped Stiglitz out of the cabinet. Larry Summers was raised to Secretary of Treasury under Clinton, and then became economics czar under Obama. At the demand of the big banks, including Robert Rubin of Citibank and Goldman Sachs. And so what we see here with the probable appointment of Larry Summers as head of the Federal Reserve Board is the bankers choosing their boy. It's not that Obama's choosing Summers. Summers is choosing Obama. The banks have chosen Summers for Obama. That's what we're seeing. And if you look at this memo, like I've said, it's a conspiracy nuts wet dream, because people have said, oh, the bankers and the Treasury guys all get together and this evil cabal to determine in a secret room, and they come up with the new laws, and they're the ones that tore apart financial regulations. And sure enough, there's the actual memo, the phone numbers, the meeting notes. Wow. And I have several other documents too, by the way. But, to me, Stiglitz saying, yeah, this is the type of thing that they would do. They would sit there and say, what would Goldman think? They didn't take a chance. They would call up Goldman and ask.
So this is pure evidence of collusion, insider trading of the largest companies coming together with the government and buying off the government for their own personal benefit and against the benefit of everybody else. Is that correct?
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, the effect of this is horrific, which is that the decriminalizing of the banking system led to massive, massive unemployment in the United States, destruction in Europe still being felt. Part of this deal in this memo was to allow the trade in foreign currency derivatives. This is what sank the Greek government. You have 27% unemployment there. The world has fallen on its face and never recovered, and that's a great extent because of Larry Summers playing secret games with the banks. And like I say, you can't do that. They could. By the way, the Secretary of the Treasury can meet with any damn banker they want. The thing is, they can't do it in secret. They can't have secret phone calls without telling us that they've done it and its purpose. And because these guys are making billions off this inside information and off the deals that allowed them to make billions at our expense. Look, it's not a victimless crime. Billionaire bankers are not victimless criminals. Believe me.
Now, if we had a just legal system, what would be the larger implications of this memo?
Well, number one, if we had a just system, instead of rewarding Larry Summers with the position of head of the Federal Reserve Board, he would be banned from government positions forever. He violated the rules of open government. We have laws in the United States. We are supposed to be a nation of laws. I just heard the President of the United States talk about, international law and the rule of law, and I agree with him. It's very important. So then how come he's appointing a lawbreaker as head of the Federal Reserve Board? This is very serious stuff. We have open government for a reason. They're not supposed to be secret. The other thing is that, you understand, these banks made billions off these deals. They should divulge up that money that they got from the inside deals that they got through Larry Summers. That's our money. You have to understand that one of the things that Goldman Sachs did was bet heavily on the collapse of the U.S. mortgage market. They made $4 billion for themselves and their clients. And they not only bet on the collapse of the mortgage market, they made it collapse, and that was part of the deregulation game directed by Larry Summers. And then, by the way, they went out and hired him, paid him. Larry Summers is worth about $37 million. He's been paid millions and millions of dollars by the banks he was supposedly policing. I mean, imagine a police chief going to work, for the mob. This is the type of stuff that makes people feel ill about government. And this is what Obama has decided to give us as head of the Federal Reserve Board.
I don't think people realize that this isn't over. I mean, we had this terrible financial crisis that almost took down the whole financial system 5 years ago. But yet their government wants them to think that, it's all been papered over, it's all been fixed, everything's hunky-dory.
Looting the economy for their own personal benefit and creating a crisis. The government here in Northern Ireland has decided to spend over £2 million on this bullshit. This